Hey Book Dragons, I'm so glad you joined me today. It's time to do a bookshelf audit. Now this is going to feel a little bit like a bookshelf tour because you are going to get to see all the books on my shelf, on my physical bookshelf. So this is going to be a little bit like that, but it's going to be different because I am going to see how many books on each shelf I have completed, and then I'm going to give you the number. So if it's like 8 out of 10 or whatever, and I'm going to put a percentage on the screen for each shelf. And then at the end of this, we're going to come back and I'm going to give you all the tallies, all the numbers, and see how I come out as far as whether or not I have completed all the books that I own. And I can tell you right now, I have not read all the books that I own. But we're going to see what percentage of those I have read overall. So this is going to be fun. Let's get right to the bookshelf audit, and then we'll come back and recap and see how I did. And we're going to start with this top shelf here. I have read all of these stories, but these are just fully illustrated editions of The Call of Cthulhu, At the Mountains of Madness. That's actually only volume 1. I haven't gotten the other one yet. And then the Dunwich Horror. So all 3 of those I have read, but not in these particular editions. So I guess you could say I haven't read them, but I have read them. So I don't know. Should I count those? It's either 3 out of 3 or 0 out of 3, depending on how you look at it. So we'll kind of call that one a wash. And we'll move on to the next shelf here. Now there's a lot of trinkets on this shelf, so just bear with me. I've got a couple of tarot decks there, and I've got my however many days since Last Dragon Attack sign there. I haven't put anything on it yet. And I've got some Funkos and stuff like that. But there are 2 books on this shelf. One is The Rise of the Dragon, which is kind of a more deeply illustrated edition of Fire and Blood. It's got some modifications and changes to it, I think, but overall it's the same story as Fire and Blood, but I have not read this book yet, so that's a no. And then this one is the Good Omens visual companion, TV companion for the TV show. I have not looked or really read that yet, so that's a no as well. So this is 0 for 2 on this shelf. Moving to this shelf here. Now this is my mass market paperback shelf, and Fool's Assassin, Fool's Quest, and Assassin's Fate. I have not read those yet. That is the final trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings, which I can't read yet. So there's 3 I haven't read. And then we're going to move to the Shannara series. Now, the first one there is Genesis of Shannara. I have not read that. First King of Shannara I have read. Scions, Druid, Elf Queen, and Talismans of Shannara I have read. Isle Witch I have read. The Fall of Shannara books there I have not read. All 4 of those are not read. And I have read 2 of the Thomas Harris books for Hannibal Lecter there. And I have not read The Princess Bride. So let's see, out of this shelf, I have only read, those 5 there, 6, and 7, 8, out of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So I've only read 8 out of 19 on this shelf here. So not bad, but not great, I would say. So got some work to do on the mass market paperback shelf. Okay, we're going to move down here, and we're going to talk about these. I've got a lot of trinkets on this shelf, so just bear with that. I have read all of the original Scythe trilogy, so that's a good start there. I've not read Gleanings, and I have only read The Lightning Thief and Sea of Monsters in the Percy Jackson series. I reread The Lightning Thief not too long ago, and it was good, but I haven't gotten the impetus to go back and finish the series, so we shall see on that one. But out of these 9 books, I have only read 5. So that's not bad. 5 out of 9. That's pretty decent. So you'll see a percentage here on the shelf. I'm not going to calculate it in my head because I don't math well. But it'll be on the screen. So we're going to move to what is largely my George R. R. Martin shelf. Although I do have Ursula K. Le Guin there, and I have read all the books of Earthsea, so that's complete. I have read Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin. That is complete. I have read The Ice Dragon and Night Flyers by George R. R. Martin, so those are complete. I have not read The Wit and Wisdom of Tyrion Lannister yet. I've read a couple of snippets out of it, but I've not read the whole thing, so I would say that's not finished yet, but it's more of a coffee table book. You know, you read it a little bit to get a laugh every now and again, but it's not like a book that you would sit down and read the whole thing until you finish it. But I'm counting it in this list as a book I have not read. I have read all of the core A Song of Ice and Fire books, so all 5 of those I have read. And I have read The Starless Sea and The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Fantastic books. I have read those. So I did pretty well on this shelf. Of all, 12 books on this shelf, there's only one that I have not read, and that's The Wit and Wisdom of Tyrion Lannister. So I'd say that's pretty good. All right, percentage on the screen, and we are moving on. Okay, so we are on this shelf now. All of these Dan Brown books I have read, except for the Digital Fortress there on the end. Oh, and there's another Pusheen. You probably noticed that. So I've read 5 out of 6 of those books. And then these are my books, The Nomad's Crucible and Talendor's Guest, next to each other. And so I've read those books, obviously. So all total, we've got 8 books on this shelf, and I've read 7 of those. So not too bad. Let's see, on this shelf, we are looking at the Winnowing Flame Trilogy by Jen Williams. I have only read The Ninth Reign. I have not read The Bitter Twins or The Poison Song. I have read Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. I have read The Briarsword Monk by Sean Speakman. I have read The King Killing Queen by Sean Speakman. I have read Unfettered by Sean Speakman. I have read Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb, so that counts. I have read The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. Now, you notice a few little things here. I have read Duck for President, which I know it's a kid's book, but I think it's just absolutely hilarious, so I keep it for more or less sentimental reasons, so that's kind of cool. And then I've got 6 different zines here by my friend Adam W. Rodriguez. I have read all of those. So let's see, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I have read 14 of those. 14 out of 16, that is not too shabby. And if I miscounted there, please let me know and say hi to my little Pusheen there. All right, so we are moving on down. We're going to move to this shelf here. And we are going to talk about Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. And I have not read it. I have read Blade Runner by Philip K. Dick. I have read Treasure Island. And I have read The Picture of Dorian Gray. I have read Fahrenheit 451. I have read everything from Sherlock Holmes, but not in a long time. So that'll be a reread, but I have read it, so I'm counting it. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, I have read. And Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein, I have read. So out of those 8 books, I have read everything except Something Wicked This Way Comes. So that's 7 out of 8 books there. That's not too shabby. Moving over here, we have the Lord of the Rings trilogy. and the Silmarillion and all those. And I'm going to just go book by book because this shelf has duplicates. I'm not going to count the duplicates. So I have the illustrated editions of The Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion with illustrations by Alan Lee. And then I have, let's see, do I have The Hobbit in that set? I don't have The Hobbit in that set. What's wrong with me? Okay, but anyway, I have those. And then I have The Hobbit illustrated here. I also have another Hobbit illustrated here. So the Silmarillion, I have there as well. Lord of the Rings. I have not read The Fall of Numenor. I have not read The Tales from the Perilous Realm. I have read The Children of Hurin. I have, of course, read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. So, as far as books go on this shelf, with all the duplicates, I'm going to go and count The Hobbit, Silmarillion, The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, Fall of Numenor, Tales from the Perilous Realm, Children of Hurin. I'm only going to count those 6 books because I have duplicates. So, of those 6 books, I have read 4. 4 out of 6. That's not too shabby. Is it great? Is it where I want to be? No, I do want to read these others, but for now, that's what we're looking at. And we're going to move over here to what is kind of an amalgamation of different books. The Darker Shade of Magic that I have read. Gathering of Shadows and A Conjuring of Light I have not read. Vicious and Vengeful I have read. Gallant I have not read. The Prophet of Adan and Return to Adan I have read. The Citadel of Forgotten Myths by Michael Moorcock I have not read yet. I am in the middle of Elric of Melniboné, so I'm going to count that as a no, as well as Stormbringer and the White Wolf collections. I have not read those either. So of this shelf, let's see, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've read 5 out of 12 books on that shelf. Not horrible, not where I'd want it to be, but not bad. Let's go ahead and move on. And we are going to look at this shelf here. I have Dracula by Bram Stoker, and I have read that. I have read many stories out of H.P. Lovecraft, but I have not read everything. So, I don't know, should I count that? Should I not? I'm probably not going to count it. Edgar Allan Poe, Stories and Poems. I've read some. I have not read everything, so I guess I won't count it. The Brothers Grimm, Complete Fairy Tales, I have not read. Tales of Horror by H.P. Lovecraft. That was given to me. So I have read some Lovecraft, but I haven't read anything from this particular volume, so no. This was a gift. This was a Necronomicon from a horror movie. I haven't read it. I think it's more of like a show book, so I don't know if I should count it. I have read Meddling Kids. I have read The Thief of Always. I have read The Hellbound Heart. I have read The Ballad of Black Tom, and I have read Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fun. Let's see, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have read 6 out of 11. That's not bad, right? We're moving on. This shelf, I have read everything on. Empire of the Damned, Empire of the Vampire, both of Lanny Taylor's Strange the Dreamer books. These 3 Dune books I have read, and all of the books by Chad Nicholas. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have read all of those. 10 out of 10. We're getting better, guys. Ho-ho! All right, moving on here. Let's see if I can get the right lighting there. Starting over here, the Illustrated Walden. I started reading it, but I haven't finished it, so let's say no. Wheels of Life, I have read, but I read it on audiobook. I haven't read the physical book, but I'm counting it. So I have read it. Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Wayne Dyer, I have read. Tao the Watercourse Way by Alan Watts, I have read. Ursula K. Le Guin's Tao Te Ching, I have not read yet. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, I have read. Building a Better World in Your Backyard, I don't remember where I got that, but I haven't read it. Dad Jokes, I have read. Questions Are the Answer, I have read. So You Think You're Irish, I have read. Food Rules, I have read. Slow Homecoming, I have not read. Look Out for the Little Guy, I have read. The Tao Te Ching by Ken Liu, I have not read yet. On my list for sure. Hearts of Glass, Living in the Real World, and then this is a little zine that goes with it. I've read both of those. And I did kind of read The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury, but I won't count it because I DNF'd it. And so I'm not really going to count it on this shelf because I'm not going to be putting it back into the mix. So of these, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Well, we're not counting Illustrated Man. So out of 15, I have read 12 out of 15. 12 out of 15 books here. That is not bad at all. I feel pretty good about that. And we are moving on to my graphic novel shelf. I have read all of, there we go. I've read all of Lock and Key by Joe Hill. I have read White Sand by Brandon Sanderson. I have read all of The Sandman, except for the John Constantine and the Books of Magic and House of Whispers. So let's see, 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Out of 22 volumes, I have read 18. That's not bad. So percentage on the screen, and we're moving on. All right, we have the Harry Potter books. I have read those, and that's all we're going to say about that. I have read both The House in the Cerulean Sea and Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. Absolutely love them. And The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I have read those. So I've read everything on this shelf, 10 out of 10. I'm doing good here. All right, guys, and we are moving on to this bottom shelf here. I've got The Android's Dream by John Scalzi and Fuzzy Nation by John Scalzi, neither of which I've read. I have The Just in Case Chronicles by Scott Edwards. All three of those I have not read. I have read The Chronicles of Narnia. I have not read Drinking with Wizards, Warriors, and Dragons, although I'm going to say I'm not going to count that because that's more of a reference book. It's a cookbook, really, drink mixing book. So I've not read that, but I'm not going to count it. So I have read Narnia. I have read Neverwhere, Good Omens. I've read Auden the Frost Giants, Coraline, Stardust, and this is Ocean at the End of the Lane. I have read those as well. So out of this shelf, I've got 5, 6, 7, 12 books altogether that I'm counting. I have read 7 out of 12 on this shelf. So not bad. All right, we're going to move on here to the final shelf. And this is, again, kind of mixed. But we got John Grisham, Sparring Partners. That's a collection of shorter stories. I have not read that yet. The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. I have not finished it. I started it, but I haven't finished it, so I'm not counting it. Same with The Child Thief. I have not finished it. I have not read If It Bleeds. I have not read The Green Rider by Kristen Britton. I have not read Dart Town. I have not read The Stardust Thief. I have not read Bloodlines. I have not read The Bone Ships. I have not read Lost Gods. I have not read Warm Hands for Ghosts. But I have read, yay! I actually have books that I read on this shelf. The Tainted Cup and A Drop of Corruption I have read. So let's see how we did on here. And the answer is not great, guys. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 books there, and I've only read 2. So 2 out of 13. Oh, guys, that's probably my worst shelf. What do you think? That concludes my bookshelf audit. I'm gonna go back for our closing remarks now. That was very interesting. Some shelves I did pretty well. Other shelves I've got a lot of work to do. But I feel like overall I've accomplished a good bit of reading from my physical bookshelf. And we're going to talk a little bit about my ebook shelf as well, though I'm not going to show that on this video. I'm just going to kind of give you the numbers and see where those are at. So I'm going to put on my eyes here. And I do have all the numbers here ready to go, and Ari's here in my lap to comfort me. You may not be able to see her right now, but she's sitting here in my lap, and I'm, I'm accompanied by a cat. All right, so we're going to start with my ebooks. I'm just going to quickly give you a rundown of where I'm at ebook-wise, and then we'll move on to the actual physical book numbers. Out of all 630 ebooks that I currently own, I have read 321 of those, which puts me at 51%. That's not great on ebooks. It is what it is, right? So as far as my physical books go, after tallying up all the numbers that you saw on the screen, I have a total of 188 books, and I have read 128 of those. That's not bad, honestly. I thought it would be worse, but it's not bad at all. So I have read 68% of my physical bookshelf. And that may change because I'll eventually add more physical books. I've got a few I want to add to that list. So we'll see how that goes. But as of right now, I've read 68% of my bookshelf, and I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. But now let's take the grand total of all the books that I own. Oh, you perked up, didn't you, Ari? Ari's really excited to hear the final number, guys. Out of 818 books total, I have read 449 books, and that puts me at a total percentage of 55%, which is good. It's over the 50% mark. It's not under, right? So that's not terrible, but I've still got a lot of work to do. I think I've got more work to do on my ebook list than I do on my physical books, which is kind of weird. And I did not count audiobooks in this. I probably should have looked at my audiobooks, but I didn't. But just knowing what I know about my audiobook list, I'm probably around 70 or 80%. I've read most of my audiobooks, so there's that. But I did not include those in this tally. Let me know what you guys think of this project and if it's something you enjoyed. A lot of people have been doing this on BookTube, and I should give credit to where credit's due. Oh, Ari's getting down. I'll give credit to Alyssa over at Hartwell's Library for giving me this idea. I think it was a lot of fun, and it gave me a lot of resolve to work harder on completing my books that I already own. So let me know what you think in the comments. And maybe you want to share with me some of your percentages. If you want to do that, that would be great. Let me know in the comments. Maybe you would like to do a project similar to this. So I challenge you to do it. And until next time, guys, make sure you read more books. And as always, if you want to see more of my content, you can see some cards at the end of this video.